Hello EL112 and welcome to theme number 1. Theme number 1 is going to be about remembering and forgetting. This is on page number 7. Go to page 7, open your book now to page 7. And this theme is going to be about remembering and forgetting. So all the vocabulary words going to be about remembering and forgetting. So this theme will cover memory, learning styles, improving your memory, and rehearsal and prompts. All right, let's move on to see what's going to happen in this theme. Okay, first of all, I want to say that you have to have a plan for the vocabulary in this book. Vocabulary are very important, and in this book you have vocabulary boxes that are on page 8, on 14, 16, 19, 20, 22, and all of these pages. So if you go to vocabulary box on page 8, for example, let's go to page 8. If you see page number 8 at the top, at the top, and then to the right, to the top of the page, you will see vocabulary box. You will see some of vocabulary words. For example, classmate, encode, experiment, find, found, right? Findings. So these are vocabulary words that you will be tested on. So in the midterm and in the final, they will test you about the vocabulary. So it is important that you have a plan to study vocabulary words, right? You have to start from now. You have to start from today to study vocabulary words. And it is very important also to, when you study the vocabulary words, you have to read examples about them, right? So if you go to Google Translation or Google Translate and you translate classmate and you see the meaning of classmate, you can read an example of that word. This way you will know how to use that word in a sentence, and also it's going to help you to understand that vocabulary word. So again, it is very important that you have a plan to study vocabulary words, and remember, you have to start from today, okay? And don't wait until the night before the test, because the night before the test you will not be able to study all the vocabulary words in all of the chapters or all of the themes. So you have to study from now, okay? All right, now let's just start with the listening. So you know that at the end of the book you have a CD, right? So you have a CD at the end of the book. It's important that you use it. So play the CD and use that CD to practice listening, because listening is an input, right? So if we say this is input and this is output, right? So in the listening, if you listen and if you read, you get a lot of vocabularies, you get a lot of sentences. So you get a lot of English inside your head. So when you have a lot of input, you can really speak English. You can write in English. So listening is very important input. You have to listen to the CD. You have a lot of exercises in the book. Play the CD and try to practice some of them. Now, listening is the skills that is not going to be in the exam, but you are actually going to listen throughout this university, right? Throughout all of the courses that you're going to study in this university. So it is important to practice listening for your future. Okay, let's move on. Now let's practice some grammar. Let's go to page 11 to 12. Let's go to page 11 to 12. If you go to page 11, see skills check number 2, indirect questions versus direct questions. Okay, you see that skills check 2, the box, the green box on the right side of the page. Now we have two kinds of questions. Okay, we have indirect and we have direct. So indirect questions, that means I'm not asking direct a question, right? For example, here, we will see if rehearsal is just repetition, right? We will see. So this is not a direct question. This is not a direct question, so we can answer it directly. For example, direct a question like this: Is rehearsal just repetition? Right? This is a direct question that I have to put a question mark here, right? We have to put a question mark here, right? But in direct question, there is a little information here before the question, right? We will see if rehearsal is just repetition. But direct questions, we start with the verb. As rehearsal is just repetition, right? That's a direct question. Now let's practice exercise G on page 12. Let's go to page 12 and practice direct and indirect questions. Here we go. Now we are on page 12. G, exercise G, making direct and indirect questions. Read the questions and statements below. Write the direct question in each case, right? Now, for example, A, I don't know if he is English. This is what? For sure, this is direct or indirect. It is indirect question, right? So how do I make a direct question? Is he English? So I start with the verb, right? I start with the verb here. Is he English? That is direct question. That's what you need to do. Just you have to eliminate this extra information and start with the verb and then put the subject. This is the subject, he, right? And then the object or the extra information, right? Is he English? Yes or no? Okay, now let's move on to the next one. B, I am not sure if the lecture is in room 3. So I am not sure if the lecture is. This is the verb, right? So I know all of this is just extra information, right, for indirect question. So this is the subject, this is the verb, right? So I can say, is the lecture in room 3? Right? Is that clear? Good? Very good. Now let's move on. Or, this is your choice, or this is your turn. I want you to do C to H, right? Go and do C. For example, C, I've forgotten if we have a test this week, right? Do them by yourself or with a partner or with a friend if you are watching this with a friend, and I will give you the answers. Just pause the video, and when you finish, check your answers in the next slide. Here we go. Here are the answers for the rest. Okay. Now let's go to G2 on page 12. Now we're going to turn the direct questions into indirect questions by using these phrases. Can you tell me? Do you know? Have you got any idea? So you can choose any of them. It's just up to you. Okay. Now let's see A. Is the lecture about PJ? right? So this is direct question starting with is a verb, right? And it's not about, and is a verb, so we're starting with the verb is, right? It's direct. Is the lecture about PJ? So how do we turn this to indirect question? So we can choose, for example, the phrase can you tell me, right? So we can choose any of them, but I would pick can you tell me. Can you tell me if the lecture about PJ? What do you think? Right? So can you tell me if the lecture about PJ? So remember, I've just put the phrase here, and I have added if, and I have put it the subject first. I put the subject first and then the verb, right? And then I put the extra information here, right? So can you tell me, this is the phrase that I have from the question, and I have added if, right? And I reverse the subject first and then the verb second. Can you tell me if the lecture is about PJ? Right? Let's do B. Starting with the value question. Who is the lecture about? So we are asking a direct question, right? Who is the lecture about? Let's just start with the direct question, with the phrase. I would pick do you know? Do you know what? Do you know what? Do you know who the lecture is about? Same thing. Do you know? And I'm putting the same that the question used in the question who, right? I put it here instead of if. Do you know who the lecture, the subject, right, and the verb, who the lecture is about, right? So do you know who the lecture is about? So turning direct to indirect is just, you know, just put the phrase and put the value question in the middle, or you just start, or just put the F, right? Now I want you to do the rest. Do C, D, and E, F, G, and H. Do them, and I'm going to put the answers here. So remember to practice. Practicing them is going to help you to understand them. And remember, in the midterm you're going to have some grammar, and also in the final you're going to have some grammar. So it's important to practice some of the grammar here. Okay, now pause the video, and I'm going to put the answer later on. Here we go. So if you see D, for example, how did you do the assignment? I'll pick any phrases, any phrase there. Have you got any idea, right, what we are doing today, for example, right? Or the how did you do the assignment? Can you tell me how you did the assignment, right? Very good. Very good. Okay, just check your answers here. Now let's go to skills check number 3 on page 13. Now this is about verb patterns, right? So several patterns can follow some verbs. For example, I forgot the telephone number. So here, I forgot, we can say the telephone number with the noun, directly with the noun. I forgot the telephone number. Or the other pattern with this verb forgot takes the infinitive plus noun. So for example, I forgot to return the books. So we have the verb pattern, we have the verb phrase or the verb forgot. I forgot, then to, then return, right? There is no ing here. I forgot to return the books. Now the third one, I forgot about the meeting. So here the preposition about the meeting, the verb, which is the noun is the meeting, right? The fourth here, I forgot how to use the app. So how is the question word plus the infinitive to use? So infinitive means to with the verb, to use the app, the noun, the app, right? So they just want to tell you there are some patterns there, okay? So just there are some patterns that you have to pay attention to in order to know how to put the patterns when you talk or when you write, okay? So basically the idea here, as it says in skills check 3, if you know the possible patterns after a verb, you can predict the possible ending to a sentence. You can go to page 178 and 179 to the grammar reference there and read more about this. So if you want to go, you can go before we do the exercise J on page 13. Here they want you to use forgot, remember, remind, and learn. And I recommend you to pause the video and then go to page 178 and 179, read them, and come back to do the exercise. We're gonna do the exercise together. Okay, so just pause the video, go there, and come back. Okay, now let's do exercise J on page 13. They want you to use the words in the brackets to complete each sentence. Make any necessary changes. Number 1, I forgot give her the message. What do you think? I forgot what? Is it I forgot given her, or I forgot to give her, or I forgot about give her, or I forgot how give her the message? What do you think? So yeah, I forgot to give her the message, right? Number 2, she remembered put her phone in her handbag, but it wasn't there. She remembered putting, it's ing, because when do we put ing? We put it when we talk about the past, right? She remembered her phone, but it wasn't there, right? That wasn't the past, right? 3, I learned how swim when I was very young. What do you think? Remember, there is how here. The question how, right? To swim, right? He reminds me. Number 4. So pause the video and do them, and I will put the answers for you. Okay, very good. Okay, now we moved on to the speaking skill, right? Here, I hope you can speak with someone in English. This is a good exercise for you when you speak to someone, okay? And here we're going to help you understand how to use should when you talk, okay? Now let's go to page 17. In page 17, in the skills check number 2, using should, right? We use should to give a strong recommendation or advice. The keyword here is strong. So we use should when I want to give you a strong recommendation or advice. Now, for example, I can tell you, and I want to advise you, which is very strong recommendation. You should study this book if you want to pass, right? So I'm telling you a very strong recommendation. You should study this book, right? Now, for example, here, visual learners should make notes of all lectures, right? So for example, this is an advice, a strong advice for you as a student. You should make notes of all lectures, right? Now, remember, this is the model here and this is the verb, right? We shouldn't put to between them. It's an infinitive without to, right? So we use a verb in the infinitive without to after the model. So should make, we shouldn't put to here, right? I cannot say visual learners should to make notes. No. Directly after should, you have to put the infinitive, the verb without ing, without s, without anything. It's just infinitive, right? Should make notes of all lectures. Okay. Now let's go, or you can do this by yourself. Go to page 179 if you want to see the grammar reference over there. And look at it, and let's come back to do exercise F. We're going to practice some of them. Okay, same page. Let's do exercise F on page 17. Okay. Now, for example, A. Or let me read the question for you. Read skills check 2, study each sentence, say the same thing. They want you to say the same thing or a similar thing in a different way. Use the words in brackets. A. You should come on time to every lecture. Right? So they want you to use to say the same thing in a different way. You can use they want you to use the word in brackets. Right? So you can say you shouldn't be late for lectures. You have to be on time, for example, right? You shouldn't. This is strong advice. Now, let's see B. Let's do B. You shouldn't stay up all night revising before a test. Use bed early. Okay, so what do you think? You should, for example, you should what? You should go to bed early the night before the test, right? You should go to bed early. Remember, the to here is not between the model and the infinitive, right? So it's not here. You should to go. No, it's just here. It's fine. You should go to bed early the night before. C. You shouldn't make fun of people. The word in the brackets is respect. What do you think? You should respect. You shouldn't make fun of people, right? You should respect people. You can say that. It's fine if you have another answer. It's just fine. They just want you to practice how to use should. And it is very good if you do the exercise without writing, just say it. Practice speaking. Just speak when you do that. Do the rest. Okay, do the rest. Try to do it when you speak. Okay, and I'm sure you're gonna do well on this. Okay, now we're going to using could on page 18. Still the speaking. Now go to page 18, skills check number 3 using could. We actually can use the model could to make suggestions, right? So if we want to suggest something to someone, we use could. We use it when there are several possibilities. There are more than one possibility, right? That's why we use could to make a suggestion, because we have plenty of the possibilities, right? Now, for example, here, visual learners could draw diagrams, or they could make flowcharts, right? They could draw, this is one suggestion, or they can flowcharts, right? This is the other one, right? So just we are just offering possibilities here. Now here we can also use could to talk about ability, so we are able to do that. In this case, it is the past tense of can. So the past tense of can is just could, right? That's why it's just ability, right? For example, here, I could talk at the age of 2. I want to say I'm able to talk when I was 2 years old, right? Or I used to talk when I was 2 years old, right? So I could, I'm able to, right? Here, another one is we use could in a polite request, right? For example, here, if you want to ask someone to give you or to lend you a pen, you can ask him, could you lend me a pen, in a polite request, right? So instead of using can, you can say, could you lend me a pen? This is just a polite request. You can go to page 179 if you want to review using how to use could. And after that, let's go and practice exercise I. Now, same page, page 18. Let's practice I on page 18. Now, this is speaking again. This is speaking. They want you to speak by teaching you some grammar rules, okay? Now, the question is, what could you do in these situations? So you have different possibilities, right? You have different options. So there is no right or wrong answers here. Just speak your answer, what you can do here. Okay, for example, 1. You need to fix your computer. What do you do? What could you do here? You can say, I could take it to the repair shop at the mall. Or another one can say, you could take it to your friend to fix it. For example, if he knows how to. Okay, for example here, number 2, you don't understand an assignment. What could you do in this situation? What do you think? What could you do? You could ask your teacher, right? Or you could ask your friend to explain it to you. Or you could ask your classmate, for example, right, to explain it to you. So there is no right or wrong answer here. Just speak. Give us your opinion. What are the suggestions here? Make suggestion here. Remember to practice the rest. Do the rest by yourself or with a friend or with a partner. But remember to practice speaking. They want you to speak here. Don't try not to write, just speak. Okay, they want you to talk here. Okay. All right, let's move on to the reading. Okay, let's move on to the reading section. Let's go to page 19. Page 19, what's going on here? Okay, no. Oh, 1 second, please, let me fix this. Okay, yeah, page 19. And I just want you to remember that reading section is very important. In this class, in this book, reading section is very important. Remember to read every single day in English if you want to improve your English and pass this class. If you have difficulties in reading, you have to fix it in this class, okay? Because in the midterm, also in the final, you will have reading question, reading article, okay? Read the book, read a lot. There are a lot of articles here. Just read and read and read, because your English will improve when you read every single day. And remember, you cannot improve your reading the night before the test. This is just impossible. So by reading regularly, by reading every day, even if you read just a little thing, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, I recommend you to read 1 hour or more if you have time. But if you read even 30 minutes, you're going to improve, believe me. Because basically learning English is just about reading, right? Read and you're going to be a good English learner. You will know English, right? Remember the input and output, right? When you read, you will have a lot of vocabulary, a lot of sentence structures, a lot of grammar, right? So when you have all of these, you can talk, you can write, right? So we have input and output. Anyway, remember to read and study vocabulary, because this will help you to improve and pass this class. Okay. Now let's go to page 20. Here my goal is to read the article that is on page 21. But before we go to the article, let's see page 20. At the top, in the exercise A, activating ideas. What does it mean, activating ideas? Yeah, it means before you start reading, I want you to think about the reading, about this article before we start reading it. Because thinking about it or asking questions about articles will help us to understand the article, right? Now let's discuss these questions together. A, or number one, what was the last academic test you did? What was it? Was it IELTS or قياس, right? Do you study قياس? Or the تحصيلي test, right? What was the last academic test you did? What is it? Tell me. Is it قياس? Now, let's go to question number 2. Did you get the grade you wanted? Did you? Did you get the grade you wanted? Is it yes? Why did you get it? Did you study a lot? No, you didn't get the grade you want. Oh, so sad. But why? You didn't study? Or what? Do you think that was very hard? Or you hate exams? What do you think? Good. Now, you activated your ideas. Now, let's move on to the actual reading. Now, let's go to B, predicting content. Here also they want you to predict the answers. When you predict something about the reading, it's going to help you to understand the actual article, the actual reading as well. Okay. Now number 1, look at the title of the text opposite. So text opposite, that means the article on page 21. Look at the title. What is the title? You know it? Yes? Yeah. Can you remember things forever? That is the title on page opposite, right? That is the title. So look at the title at the text opposite on page 21. What is your answer to the question? Can you remember things forever? Yes or no? Yeah. No. No, for sure no. I cannot remember things forever, right? Now, 2. Mark this statement true or false. Just predict. Just what do you think, right? Now, for example, A. Modern scientists understand how human memory works. What do you think? Is it F? Is that false? Or for example, B. Reviewing information helps you remember it. I think yes, true. So try to do the rest. Try to do them by yourself. Because this is, as I said, it's going really to help you to understand. Even if your reading is not that perfect or is not that good, these activities, predicting the content, will help you to understand the actual reading. Even in the test, if you see the title and you see the picture, just try to predict by yourself to activate your ideas. When you activate your ideas and start reading, you will understand the reading. That's what the researchers find, or that's what the researchers found in their study. They found the readers understand what they read when they actually predict and activate their ideas by reading the titles, by looking at the pictures and starting to ask themselves some questions. Okay, let's move on to a very important skills in the reading as well. Now again on page 20, let's see exercise C, understanding the paragraph structure. They want you to understand how the paragraph structure. They want you to understand how do we put sentences one after another. So this is also going to help you understand the reading, and also it is going to help you to understand writing. When you want to write, how to put your ideas, how to structure your ideas, how to structure your paragraph, right? So here, C, understanding the paragraph structure. Read the text opposite and look at figure number 1. Then fill in the gaps in the text with these sentences. So we have sentences that we're going to put them in the gaps in the question. Okay. Now, I will read the sentences first. Read the sentences first. For example, number 1. The need to repeat this process many times was first described in the 1930s by Cecil Mays. 2. After a month, only about 10% remains. Try to read them. Pause the video and read them all. Okay. Then next, let's read the article on page 21, and we will put the sentences inside the boxes. We're going to fill the gaps. Okay, I'm going to read with you one paragraph or two. Here we go. Can you remember things forever? Do you remember everything that you learned at school? Everybody knows that the human brain cannot remember anything. Then we have a gap, right? We have a box there. Let's read the next sentence and come back to this box. We do not have a complete picture of human memory. So let's go back to this. What do you think the sentence here? Which one? For sure we have the answer, which is number 4. However, science has not discovered the exact reason for this. So look here, the structure of the reading of this paragraph, right? Look how the author structured his paragraph. This is for you as well. You have to know how to structure your paragraph in your writing. And this is going to help you as well to understand the reading, because you are looking for answer, right? Now let's go to paragraph number 2. I'm going to read it with you. Forgetting is a natural process. On figure 1, the red line on the graph shows that within 24 hours of learning, you have forgetting nearly 80% of the new information. Then we have a gap. Let's continue. In education, we need to consider how to stop this loss of information. So you can go to figure 1 as well and see the red line, right? Anyway, let's go to the gap again. He said nearly 80% of the new information, and then he said in education we need to consider. Now let's go to the sentences. Which one of them do you think the sentence should go there in paragraph number 2? Is it number 2? Yes, it is number 2. After a month, only about 10% remains, right? Then in education, we need to consider how to stop this loss of information, right? This perfectly fits here, right? We cannot put another sentence, because if we put another sentence, and you can try that, for example, if we put 8, we call this revision, this is not going to work, right? So yes, so paragraph 2 is sentence number 2. So now pause the video. This is your time. I want you to read. In the class, I usually give my students a time to read this, because reading is very important skill. We need to read. We need to understand it. If you think this is hard, try as hard as you can. Okay, I'm going to put you the answers here. Just try to read, try to understand, and when you read every single day regularly, you will learn, you will understand the reading in the future by the end of the semester. Okay, now pause the video, try to do the rest, and I will give you the answer in the next slide. Here we go, there are the answers here. Okay, that's good. I hope you have finished the reading, the article. Very good exercise, very good practice for reading. Now, let's go to skills check 3, understanding subject verb on page 23. This is very important for your reading, and it is very important for your writing. If you understand this, your writing is going to improve as well. We call the subject, verb, and object, right? SVO. All right, now let's go to skills check number 3, understanding subject, verb, object on page 23. Let's go to the box there. I'm going to read it with you. Now, English uses a basic subject, verb, object, or complement structure, right? If you want to write a good sentence, follow this structure. Your writing will be good. In academic sentences, there is often extra information about the S means the subject, and the object or the complement, right? So we have extra information. Usually we have extra information about the subject and the object or the complement, right? So even in your sentences as well, if you understand this, you'll know what I'm talking about. So please focus here. Let's see the examples. Revision of the lecture notes is the key to successful learning, right? So do you see all the words in the bracket? They are unnecessary, but they are extra information. If I say revision is the key, that is a good sentence, right? Without the extra information. Revision is the key. That's it. You're done. This is a good sentence. But if I put the extra information of the lecture notes, it's fine. This is going to make the sentence even more beautiful. It's going to help the flow of reading, right? So revision of the lecture notes is the key to successful learning, right? Here we go, the next sentence. The red line shows the loose. Okay, so the red line, yes. The red line shows the loose. That's a complete sentence. It's fine. Because we have the red, the subject, shows the verb. The loose is the object or the complement, right? But we have extra information to make the flow of reading great. Okay, so the red line on the graph shows the loose of information. Okay, same thing. Now, find the subject, verb, object, complement of a long sentence. Then find the extra information. Now let's go and practice this on exercise E. Okay, for example, the first sentence. You have retrieved that information hundreds of times. What is the subject? Subject is you. What is the verb? True, have retrieved, right? That information or information by itself is the object or complement, right? So when I say you have retrieved information, that's a complete sentence. And all of these are what? The extra information, right? Or details, right? So remember in the exam, remind, or in your writing, remind yourself, are you writing subject, verb, and complement, right? And then you can put extra information if you want. So just remember, you have in any sentence, you have to have a subject, you have to have a verb, you have to have, you don't have to, but it's very important to have object and complement. So you cannot say you that information. That's wrong. You cannot say you information, for example, right? That's not gonna work because you don't have a verb. And a lot of students write in their writing like this without a verb or without subject. That's not gonna happen. This is wrong. Don't do it. Okay, let's do number 2. You need a degree in architecture. You need a degree in architecture, right? Where is the subject? True. You is the subject. Need is the verb. A degree is the object or the complement, right? You need a degree. This is extra information. True? Yes, true. Let's go to the third one. Healthy people often eat low-fat snacks during the day. Where's the verb? Or where is the subject? True. You can actually, it's just people, right? Or healthy people, right? And healthy is just extra information for people, right? So we can say it's just people. Subject people. Eat, right? Eat is the verb, is the object. Snacks, right? So people eat snacks. That's a complete sentence that has a subject and a verb and object, right? All of these is just extra information. Even low fat is extra information. During the day is prepositional phrase, right? Very good. Now do the rest, practice them, and after that you can start writing sentences. Try to write sentences like this with subject verb complement. This will help you definitely to write very well sentences. So if you like that exercise, there is another one also on page 31. So if you go to exercise D on page 31, they want you to add extra information to the subject verb sentences, right? So for example, on number 1, there are components, right? So they want you to put the extra information. They want you to put them there, right? So you can say there are 4 main components of knowing a word in a foreign language, right? So you can do it if you like it. You don't have to, but this is an exercise if you would like to do it. Number 2, for example, the component is meaning, and you have these extra information. You could say the first component of knowing a word is meaning, right? So you can play with that if you would like to. You can just, do it if you like this exercise. Okay, now let's go to the writing section. Okay, so writing is very important in this class, remember that, and you have 2 quizzes which are the in-class writing, that means the quizzes in class. They are writing. We're just testing your ability to write in English, write academically. So do you know how to write an essay? Do you know how to write a paragraph? That is writing in this class, basically. So you have to know how to write an essay to pass this class. This is very important. You're going to write an essay. And I think in your EL112 as well, we have tested you that, right? And in this class as well, we're going to test you that. So my job here to help you to write very well, okay? To structure your essay, so you know how to write introduction with a thesis statement. Thesis is the last sentence in the introduction, right? And then write a body paragraph, right? 1 or 2 is as you wish, and then your conclusion, right? That's it. Writing is basically, right? Academic writing is like that. Introduction, this is intro. And in that introduction, last sentence should be your thesis. Your thesis is just your main idea of the essay. And then you can write one long paragraph or 2, right? And then you have conclusion, right? That's it. I'm going to help you to do that. Okay, just bear with me. Okay. Okay, now to understand writing in this theme, let's go to page 29. you will see the article there, right? Page 29, the importance of rehearsal in vocabulary learning. Now, before we start reading that and understand how the author wrote that article or that essay, let's go back to page 28. Page 28, right? And then we can see how the author activates his ideas and gather the information to write that essay, right? For example, if you go through A, B, C, D, and E, you will see how the author gathered the information to write that essay. Now, most important thing for me here is the E, which is that part E, writing the essay. Before you write the essay, actually, you have to gather information, right? You see that in the E after exercise, after the part E there, you will see rehearsal and vocabulary learning, and then you will see that terms, rehearsal, research. That is the way you gather information. So in your test or in your quiz, before you write your essay, you have to gather information. You have to write your information before you start writing the actual essay. Just to spend at least 5 minutes, just organize your ideas, gather information before you actually write your actual essay, right? Now, let's go to page 29. In that essay, excuse me, where is the thesis statement? Do you remember where is the thesis? Which is the last sentence in the introduction, right? Teachers, I'm going to read it. Look at the introduction, last sentence. We call it a thesis. Teachers should provide opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary items. That is the main idea of that essay. Teachers should provide opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary terms, right? So I know by reading the thesis, I know the whole essay is going to be about providing opportunities for the rehearsal, right? Now, before we understand the thesis, let's go to skill check number 2 on page 30. Skills check number 2 on page 30 says what? Says the introduction to an argument essay should contain a thesis statement. The statement is usually in one sentence. It answers the question in the essay title. Basically, it is the main idea. It is the main idea of that essay, right? For example, teachers should give opportunities for the rehearsal of new vocabulary items. In this case, this is the another thesis, right? In this case, the essay should give ways in which teachers can give opportunities for rehearsal. So either one is a thesis, right? You can choose any of them, but it should be, usually it's just one sentence, and it summarizes or gives me the main idea of your essay. Right. Now let's understand writing by looking at the article on page 29. Again, when you want to start writing your essay in the exam, write your introduction, and in that introduction, in your last sentence, tell me your thesis. What is your main idea of that essay, right? And then go to the next paragraph. You can write your for example, your body paragraph. You can start that, right? If I say this is your essay, this is your intro, for example, and then you have last sentence is your thesis, and then here is your body paragraph, right? You can write one body paragraph, and you can also another one body paragraph, and then your conclusion, right? Right here in page 29, this essay, the second paragraph, is just a definition for the rehearsal. What does it mean, rehearsal? Right? When you read that, it's just they wrote, or the author decided to write a paragraph to define the term rehearsal, because he wants us to understand what he means, right? And then he went to the third paragraph and he writes his first component of knowing a word. And then he went to the second one, the third one, right? And that body paragraph. And then at the end, it's the conclusion, right? In this essay, or you can say finally, or to sum up. All of them are transition words, right? Again, read this, try to understand why the author wrote that essay in this way. Okay, this will raise your awareness on how to write a good essay, right? Because you will need it in your quiz, on your in-class writing. Also, it is very important that you go to page 35 and see the structure of the essay. As I said, you have introduction, and then the body paragraphs, and then conclusion. Body always long, because it's going to help us, because you will write more to teach us or to explain to us what you mean in your writing, right? Always remember to write your essay like this. Always to have this structure. Okay? And don't forget your thesis statement in the introduction, which is the last sentence, right? And if you know how to grade yourself, you can go to the rubric on page 36. See there? You can grade yourself as well, right? You can see, do you have introduction? If you have, you can put yourself 10. Do you have your supporting ideas? You can put yourself 5, right? Do you have paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3? In your body, you can have as much as you want of paragraphs, right? Here they wrote 1, 2, 3, but in the exam, basically you have 1 hour. So you can pick how many paragraphs you want, but you know, it's just up to you how many paragraphs you want to write. Now, at the end, I want you to remember, if you want your English to improve, you have to read a lot. Read and read and read. This is a good way to improve your reading and your English in general. And when you read, don't forget to study vocabulary words in your reading. Have flashcards. Have a notebook to write your new vocabulary words that you don't understand. Okay? And always try to read and then study the vocabulary words that you don't understand in the reading. This way, believe me, this way is going to help you to read well, and in general, it's going to help your English. Okay, I hope this lecture was good and clear for you. And if you don't understand any of them, just play the video again and again, and I'm sure you're going to understand it. And if you have any question, just let me know and I'm going to explain it to you. Okay, good luck and see you next class.